Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. As you can hear in my voice, I do have a bit of a cold at the moment, so I do apologize. I am feeling much better than I was yesterday, but I do still have a little bit of congestion, and I know that you can probably hear that in my voice. But today is Monday, and as you know, I love channeling reading videos on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I do still want to channel some collective updates today. But I do apologize because this video may be a bit shorter than usual. There will still be an extended reading for this video on Patreon as well. So as always, you can explore the Patreon reading when you join our beautiful soul tribe there, and all of that information is in the pinned comment and description box. So I'm going to start today by shuffling the Energy Oracle cards deck. And I heard something about the moon, so something about the moon could be symbolic for someone listening. This also could be speaking to something related to the full moon that is coming up very soon. And of course, the first card here is the Magician and the Mirror in the reverse position. This is one of my two twin flame cards in the deck. And typically this card speaks to the balance of divine masculine and divine feminine energy. I heard the name Catherine for someone, but do keep in mind that whenever I channel specific names, words, details, etc., these are typically just meant for specific individuals. So always only take that as it resonates with you personally. So I want to know why this card is coming up in the reverse position. Okay, so we have the third eye chakra upright, which speaks to spiritual awakening and the opening of the intuition. But we also have the heart chakra, the fourth chakra, in the reverse position. So this can speak to someone having major breakthroughs when it comes to realizing ways in which they've been closing off their hearts. I keep picking up a masculine energy, and this could mean that there is a masculine involved in your situation if you are a divine feminine listening. Now, of course, these labels, masculine and feminine, are meant to describe energies, not necessarily to describe genders. So always keep that in mind and take these masculine, feminine messages as they resonate. But what I'm really bringing through is that someone is having some kind of intuitive realization here about ways in which they've been keeping their hearts, I'm hearing, closed to receiving love. Now, because this is a divine masculine, divine feminine energy update, this could be applying to an external divine masculine or an external divine feminine, but equally this could apply to your internal masculine or your internal feminine. So I want to know how this person is realizing that they've been blocking off their hearts. Okay, so I see here that I'm hearing the word self-protection, and I just saw a fox, so that could be some kind of a symbol for someone. I'm also hearing something about the month of December. But with the Thinking Man card, this very often represents ego. And with Angel of Balance, I'm getting this very strong sense of self-protection. I heard a B name, the name Beth or Bethany came up for someone. But what I'm getting from these cards is that someone has been keeping their heart chakra closed, not fully allowing love into their life, by using their ego to actually protect themselves, or really rather to give them a false sense of protection. So I'm going to see if I can pull an emotion card here. Happiness. So someone here is actually realizing that in closing off their hearts in this way, their ego tricked them into believing that they were self-protecting, when in actuality, they were sabotaging their own true happiness. It's like, I'm almost hearing someone say, I wouldn't allow myself to be happy or to just receive love, to enjoy love. I'm really getting that for some, this could apply to an external masculine in your situation who is doing this or who has done this in the past. But for some of you, I'm getting that you could be a divine feminine, and this could be something that your inner masculine has been doing, because we all do have a balance of masculine and feminine within us. And I'm getting that for some feminines, your inner masculine here has projected this kind of hyper masculinity that may have blocked your natural divine feminine receiving flow, meaning your hyper inner masculine who thought that they were self-protecting you by, well, I'm going to get into the details of what this may have looked on the surface in the extended reading. So if you would like to know more details about how the masculine or the inner masculine here, depending on how it applies for you, may have been sabotaging their own happiness through this over self-protection, that will be channeled on Patreon. So the link to the Patreon reading is, of course, in the pinned comment in description box. But for now, I do want to pull another emotional card. And this card is empathy. So I'm seeing that part of how someone here may have been closing off their heart is by pretending that they didn't care or closing themselves off to others, when in actuality, the ironic thing is the person I'm picking up on here is highly empathic. I feel like what I'm getting here is a masculine who is actually an empath, meaning they are a highly sensitive person. They are an ancient spiritual being and capable of absorbing emotional energy from the people around them. But because this ability to empathize, quite literally to be able to not just have empathy as society thinks of having empathy, but this masculine's ability to actually absorb into his own being the energies of people around him may have actually been, I'm hearing, trained out of him from a young age. Once again, we have the Angel of Balance card, and so far, every time this card has been coming up in this reading today, I keep hearing protection, self-protection. So I feel that this masculine has been trained into blocking himself off from connecting with others empathically, because he actually has this very strong gift of empathy that he's been very closed off to in the past. And I'm actually getting a kind of strange message for some masculines here, which is this was actually part of his soul's blueprint. So this need for self-protection in childhood actually was something that was necessary because of his emotional or physical or family environment. There was something about the way that he was brought up, or the society he was brought up in, or the family he was brought up in, that actually made it necessary for this masculine to self-protect in this way for a period of time. However, the problem is, I feel that at a soul level, within his soul contract was the agreement that at a certain point in his life, he would wake up to this spiritual gift of empathy and really begin to hone in these abilities, really open his heart more expansively to connecting with other people in the way that, again, he's always had the ability to do, but he has been closed off to in the past for the purpose of this necessary self-protection. I hear his guide saying, it's time to let the walls down. And as I'm channeling about this, I keep picking up on a divine feminine here who is helping this masculine to deconstruct these walls that he's built to really let down this guard. I just saw the number 444, and personally, I've been seeing that number a lot lately. I would love to hear from you in the comments and just hear what numbers you've been seeing recently. But you guys know that whenever these numbers come up in the readings, I do like to channel messages from them. So the number 444 can represent your deep love for something or someone. And what I'm getting is that this masculine had a soul contract with a divine feminine who was meant to be the catalyst to step into his life and break him open emotionally, to essentially break down those walls within him that, again, were necessary for a period of time, but were overextended. It was time for those walls to come down. It was time for him to open his heart, to open to his true spiritual gifts, which include this ability to empathize. And I see the divine feminine here playing a major role in that, because I feel for many masculines, this opening up to their true gift of empathy came through having an experience in their life that was so heart-touching or soul-wrenching, so profound, and something that caused them to feel so much emotion, so much feeling, that they couldn't help but shatter those walls within them. I'm getting the image of a really high-pitched frequency that shatters glass. And the reason my guides are giving me this visual is because soulmates and twin flames share a similar core soul frequency, that frequency of our true, authentic self. Beneath all of those levels and layers of superficiality, of programming, limiting belief systems we absorb from our upbringing, experiences in this lifetime and society. And twin flames share not just a similar frequency, but an identical core soul frequency. So I feel that in this situation, the divine feminine that came into this masculine's life as a catalyst was either a twin flame or a very high vibrational soulmate, because when their two similar frequencies collided, it created almost this explosion of sound that generated what we could think of as that very high frequency that has the power to shatter material objects like things made of glass. And I feel that the glass in this metaphor, again, are the walls that this masculine had built up around himself to prevent himself from feeling on either side of the equation, feeling either intense love, joy, happiness, but also it protected him from feeling those lower vibrational emotions. I keep hearing the word apathetic. So prior to this moment of meeting and being catalyzed by this divine feminine, the masculine here may have come off as being apathetic or emotionless or not really having a wide range of emotion. But again, it's not because he wasn't capable of these emotions. It's because he had been trained into self-protection of experiencing either the extreme highs or the extreme lows of emotional connectedness that he is capable of experiencing, because again, he does have this gift of empathy that had just been guarded, had been deactivated for some time. Now, of course, here we have a new earth from the Starseed Oracle. It's happening. Keep holding the vision. I feel that there may be a divine feminine here in this situation who may have had doubts from time to time about whether these changes, this opening to his own empathic side, this spiritual growth was actually occurring within this masculine. And if that was the case, I feel your guides, divine feminine, coming in to say you can trust what your intuition has been telling you about the spiritual growth and development of this person. I'm hearing you can sense it from afar. So if you're a divine feminine listening, you might be at some kind of a distance with this person. I'm definitely getting that for some. And to confirm that for a group of people, we also have, I feel you even though we are apart. So know that if you're a divine feminine listening and resonating with that, your masculine does feel this as well. I keep seeing an amethyst stone, and I also saw a clear quartz stone earlier as well. So one of those crystals may connect with you. You might be connecting more with crystals just in general as of recent. But with this card, A New Earth, what my guides are telling me is all of this is by divine design, because this masculine experiencing that collision of frequencies between himself and another soul, this divine feminine that shares a similar or identical core soul frequency to his own, and that following shattering of the glass, so to speak, the walls around this masculine and his gifts and abilities, especially his ability to empathize. This is all part of a larger divine plan because, and I'm seeing the number 144,000, which can symbolize being one of those few rare souls who come in and decide to be on the leading edge, the frontier of collective consciousness, to take on some of the most dense patterns and dynamics, to transmute them, and to become a beacon of light, leading the way for others, part of the collective unconscious to follow afterwards. Leading the way essentially into this new earth shift, this shift from third dimensional consciousness to higher levels of consciousness, to 5D consciousness, into this new earth that we so often speak of in the spiritual community. And I see that this masculine specifically has been playing a role in shifting and healing the wounded divine masculine collective consciousness. I keep hearing narcissism. So this masculine might be infusing the divine masculine collective with greater perspective when it comes to the emotions of other people. He seems to be playing a role in breaking open the divine masculine collective to greater levels of empathy with others, to be able to be more sensitive to the thoughts, feelings, energies of others, and to really sense that connection to the whole, to realize that none of us are an island, but we are all interconnected. So in the extended version of the reading, I will be channeling more information about what this divine masculine seems to be going through at this time, breaking open to this gift of empathy, how this is impacting the collective divine masculine consciousness, and what role the divine feminine he is interacting with may be playing in this process as well, because I absolutely sense this as being a team effort between the divine masculine and feminine here. So the link to the extended reading on Patreon with those additional channeled messages is in the pinned comment and description box under this video. But now I am going to channel a bit into the divine feminine energy. So what is going on with the divine feminines at this time? What do any divine feminines listening need to know at this time? So we have Journey in the midway position. And as I turned this card over, I heard in between places. So as a divine feminine, you may feel as though you are in some kind of a transition right now. And this transition might actually make you feel as though you are stuck between two different things. Now, this will be different for everyone listening, but for some, this could manifest as feeling stuck between two different ways of thinking, two different potential job routes or financial avenues, two different potential romantic relationships or partners, two different places. There is this energy of deciding between, transitioning between, or being stuck between two things. And what my spirit guides are telling me is that although this might seem to be some kind of a 3D transition, meaning you might be visually seeing two different places, things, or two different mindsets, whatever it is that you're stuck between or that you seem to be moving back and forth, vacillating between, in actuality, it goes so much deeper than the 3D, because the reason you are feeling this transition so heavily in your 3D life in these specific ways is actually because the transition you are going through is happening at a very deep energetic level. It's not really about these manifested 3D things. These are all, again, manifestations of what is happening at the level of energy, which is that you are transitioning from old earth, so to speak, to new earth, from 3D consciousness to 5D consciousness. And very often when you find yourself feeling stuck between two different things, part of what you're picking up on is the collective unconscious that is pulling you back or trying to pull you back into an old way of thinking, being, or living when your soul has already ascended to this higher level. It's almost as though you are right out on the frontier of carving out, of forging this path in the forest. And because you are the first one walking this path, it might feel as though a lot of times people are looking at you or behind you saying, no one's ever gone that way before. You can't make it if you go that way. How do you know where you're going? There's no path there. Now, they might not literally be saying this with their words. They could be saying it with their energy. So it's almost as though they are exuding this energy of fear over you breaking into these new frontiers, and you being the highly empathic being that you are might be picking up on some of these fear vibrations that actually form these fear thought forms. We could think of almost like clouds of thought that we can empathically pick up on in the same way that we empathically pick up on energies of individual people. We can pick up on these collective consciousnesses as well. So I will be channeling more information, Divine Feminine, from your spirit guides, from your higher self, whatever divine forces you connect with, about this transitional period that you are going through, which again, regardless of how it looks in 3D, is really this higher level energetic shift from 3D consciousness to 5D consciousness, and everything that entails, and how that can profoundly trigger the collective shadow as well. So we will be diving deeper into messages of guidance about that transition in the extended reading, which is linked in the pinned comment and description box under this video. And I didn't even see this card come out, but just as a further confirmation that some of these feelings of stuckness, of transition, of feeling caught between two things, again, could be that you've already transcended to this higher level of consciousness. And you might be able to stabilize this fairly well when you're by yourself, when you're alone, when you have time to clear your energy to hold these higher vibrations in kind of a hermit mode. But then you might notice when you get back out in the world around other people, you seem to be empathically affected, and it's almost like these doubts and fears become infused or absorbed into you. And know that if you're feeling that way, you're not going crazy, because we also have the empathic starseed card, but in the reversed position. And what this tells me is something you are absorbing empathically may actually be creating some of these feelings of confusion, or even creating artificial feelings of fear and doubt, in spite of the fact that most of you, your soul has already really transcended into these higher vibrational planes. So again, we will be going deeper into that in the extended reading, which is linked under the video. But for now, I am going to be pulling one final card from the Rumi Oracle. Again, I'm going to keep this reading a bit shorter today, just to preserve my voice. As you can tell, it's a little bit shot today, so I do apologize for that. But if you would like a few additional channel details, messages, pieces of information, as always, that will be available to you through the extended reading on Patreon. And here we have a really beautiful card to close this reading. This card says, "Let love transform." So I'm going to close this reading with a final message from the Rumi Oracle. The spring of love arrives to transform the dust into a garden. The call is heard from the heavens to bid the wings of soul to fly. The sea becomes filled with pearls. The dry land receives the water of life. The stone becomes a ruby, and the body becomes all soul, Rumi. And let's just channel one more message from the guidebook here. This oracle comes to you as a living spiritual gift. Whether you realize it or not, you have triumphed. You have blossomed, succeeded, cast aside that which was unworthy, and taken up love's way. You are welcomed into this world where love finds a way. There is nothing impossible for love. It is not bound by the mind, and because of this, all manner of miraculous grace works through it in endless creative variety. What does this mean? It means an avenue for divine fulfillment has been found. Detach yourself from expectations of timing. Absolute trust is the best way to adhere to the law of love. So that feels like a beautiful place to close this reading. If you would now like to continue on with me in the extended Patreon reading, the link to that is in the pinned comment and description box under the video. If I do resonate with you, I invite you to subscribe and join our beautiful community of like-minded, conscious, creative beings here on YouTube. I hope you have a wonderful, magical rest of your day and start to your week, and I will talk to you again in Wednesday's reading.